Hi everyone, it's Krista and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new, hi again. So this is my channel. I love to do all kinds of DIYs on a budget, Dollar Tree DIYs, thrift flips, farmhouse and rustic, wreaths, and seasonal decor. So if you like what you see here, you know what to do. Hit that red subscribe button. Also leave me a comment because I love to hear what you guys think. And give me a thumbs up, that helps my channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok. I will have all those links down below. But today is all about I love fall no matter what. And my co-host is Connie's Creative Creations. I'm your host, and these are all my lovely ladies that join me every single month on the 20th. But more about that in a minute. First, DIY number one. So the first DIY, we're going to take this pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, those little pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, just some little things here and there. I'm also going to use some of this faux fur, this fox fur. And this you could get at any craft store, Hobby Lobby, Michael's. And what I did is I'm going to do the beard for the gnome with this. So what I'm using is a razor. Be very careful when you do it, but you want to turn the fur over and then just cut the top part of that, the fabric part of it, not the fur. Otherwise, you're going to have it shedding everywhere. So I cut it into like a little like V kind of, and I'm going to take that top of the pumpkin off the little trunk. And then I'm just going to use my scissors and pull down all that fabric. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of this material from Hobby Lobby. It's, you know, their material that they have. It's the one that they use for backings and everything like that. I'm going to use that to create my hat for my gnome. So what I'm going to do is I really winged it, okay, on making the hat. So I can't give you dimensions. I'm not good with measuring. I'm just going to be honest. But what I did is I just basically made it look like a hat. So that's what I did. So I wrapped it around the gnome. I cut where I needed the excess, you know, to be cut off. And now I'm just going to do like a little hem using my glue gun so that it doesn't look like it's all chopped up and cut up. And like you can use any material to do this. You know, if you have like extra material somewhere or something, you can use that and just cut it. And basically what you're doing is making like, you know, a cone. So for the top of the hat. And that's what I'm doing here. And whatever excess I have or whatever I needed, I just tucked it in and glued it down and it worked out perfect. So you want to make sure, I will tell you, that it goes in the back and that it comes down a little bit more than in the front. That's what helps keep the hat on the gnomes. So now you see me going here. I'm going and doing more hemming with my glue gun. But you're not going to see any of this because it's all going to be inside and tucked in really nicely. And then once I get that all done, now we're going to start gluing it all together. And I'm just going to keep going up with the glue all the way up to the tippy top where the top of the hat would be. And then I'm also going to take the trunk that we took out of the pumpkin and I'm going to use that for the tip of my hat. And we're going to stick it in, which you will see in a second once I get this all down. And I'm just going to leave a little opening up there so that I could stick it in and glue it in place so it stays. So I just used a lot of hot glue and I glued it in. And there you go. And that is our hat for our gnome. See, now it's going to go on perfectly. You want to make sure it's a little loose. And next I'm going to glue on the beard for the gnome. And I'm just using a wooden bead for the nose, but I know lots of people use all kinds of different things. You're going to see me make several different gnomes in this video. So you're going to see that I'm going to be versatile and I'm going to change it up a little bit so you guys could see like what different things you can use, you know, if you don't have certain things to make your gnomes. And then see how the back, I have it coming down more in the back. That's to help keep it in place. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little bead, I'm going to tuck it a little bit underneath the hat because I don't want those two holes on the side of my bead to be showing. I just want it to be the nose. And then I decided to stick in some of this polyfill because the hat was like not staying up the way I wanted it to, so it wasn't cooperating. So I just stuck some fill in there and I just got it to where I wanted it. And now we're going to glue it shut. And then once I get it glued shut, I wanted his hat not to be straight up. I wanted it to go to the side. I think the gnomes with the hats on the side are so cute. So that's how I do my gnomes. But you guys do you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of put a little bit of glue on the side and tack it down because I want that tree stump to come down towards the front. And now we're going to decorate the hat. I'm just going to put this little leaf that I got off of one of the picks from the Dollar Tree, and then some of these little berries that I also got off a pick from the Dollar Tree. And I think that's it for our gnome. Isn't he cute? So here's a close-up. I think he's adorable. So today is all about fall and gnomes. So I already told you who my co-host is. These are all the ladies. We join together. We get together every 20th of the month. So make sure you come back and check us out. I will have a playlist down below with everyone's channels. So next, DIY number 2, we're going to take this cone that I got at Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to use some fabric and some little pieces here and there to make a gnome. We're going to make the gnome with the cone. So now I'm using fabric this time for my hat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the fabric, and you see what I did? I folded it over and made it like, I want it to be a longer hat, thinner but longer. So I kind of just folded it over to the way that I wanted it to look. And now I'm just cutting the excess material off. Now I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to run it along the edge. And we're going to go all the way down to the bottom. And I left maybe a ½ an inch, not even, on the bottom so that you could see how I'm just going to tuck that in as well. Because we don't want to see any of the messy edges. And we're going to turn this one inside out when we're done. And then you're not going to see where I glued. So then next, I want to make the arms for the gnome. So I took some material and I folded it over in half on top of each other like that. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to cut it in half again. Once I fold it again, I'm going to cut it again. And we're going to take these pipe cleaners, and that's what we're going to use to help have our arms be able to bend. And I'm just making sure everything's nice and even and straight. You can also use a rotary cutter, which I do have a rotary cutter for fabric. I don't know why I didn't use it though, now that I think about it. But anyways, you can use scissors, whatever you have. So now I'm gluing all the little edges, because in a minute here you're going to see we're going to take one of these little tiny pine cones that you get in the little package from the Dollar Tree. And it has pine cones in there. I think it even has little pumpkins in there and stuff. And we're going to use those, and those are going to be the hands for our little gnome. So there they are there. So I just picked the smallest ones I could find in my pack. And now I thought I was going to be able to cut these in half and use them, but I forgot that, you'll see in a minute, I needed my pipe cleaner to be even longer. So I end up using a whole pipe cleaner instead of half. So don't even pay attention to that part. And then I'm going to fold it up so that I make it a little bit of a seam there. And now I'm going to take my pine cone, glue it down to the edge, the part where it's all cut. And now you're going to take your pipe cleaner and glue that all the way down along where you put the pine cone. And now we're going to roll it. And as I roll it, I'm also gluing it because I want it to stay nice and tight. And you roll it until you get it, covered. And then you're going to just cut the excess off. I rolled it again, I guess. And then I cut the excess off. And that's going to be our little arms. And you're going to see how we're going to connect them in a minute. It's super, super easy. So now I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to glue it and make sure that everything so that it's not showing. So next I'm going to cut my fur. And I did the same one for the other arm. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm using my little razor blade, and I just cut a little piece this time to put on. Now we're going to take 2 more pipe cleaners, and we are going to wrap them around almost the top part of the pine cone. And I'm just going to wrap it around until I get it where I want it, and then I'm just going to keep wrapping it, and I hold the other piece down while I'm wrapping it so it stays in place. But you're also going to glue it with some hot glue once we get to the top. Then I just kind of tuck it in to the top once I wrapped it around a couple times, because you want to make sure it's nice and tight and it's not going anywhere. And then I just brought it to the tippy top. I brought it up, and then I twist my pipe cleaners together like so. And now I'm going to add just a little bit of glue up there to hold it in place. You want it to be sticking up top, because what that's going to do, that pipe cleaner, is it's going to attach our arms, and it's going to be able to bend our hat too. So now I'm turning my hat inside out, because we don't want all them little things showing. And I'm also going to bring it up. I forgot to bring it up, and I forgot to show you that I'm gluing a little piece up top too, so that it's for the bottom part, I mean, to make it kind of look like, you know, it's nice and clean cut on the bottom. And then I just used a little dowel to push it through, and just be careful you don't rip it though. And then I'm also going to take one of these little stems from one of the little pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put that on the end of my hat again. Okay, so now we're going to attach our arms. So you're going to put one arm on one side, and then the other arm on the other side, and just make sure that you got it up far enough where it's not like below the pine cone. You want to make sure it's a little above the pine cone. And then we're going to twist it all together with that one that we already have on there. And that's going to make your arms stay in place. Isn't that cool? Then we're going to take our little fur, make sure that we glue that in. And I'm just putting little dabs of glue so that it goes on the pine cones, like on the little pieces that stick out of the pine cone. That's where I'm gluing it down on. Okay, so there he is. And now we're going to put our hat on. And he turns out so cute. And like before, you're going to make sure that the back goes down a little bit more than the front, because that's what's going to keep the hat really nice and snug on your little gnome. Sorry, sometimes I'm out of the camera there, but when I bring stuff close to me, I forget sometimes. And now I'm just putting little dabs of glue in all the different spots to make sure that he's getting all nice and glued down so that nothing comes out. And now see how that the pipe cleaner on the top, now I can bend my hat the way I want it. And you could bend his arms too. Now we're going to take a little bead again. And I painted the beads with Beachcomber, I believe it's called, by Folk Art. And it was the perfect color for the nose. And then I just stuck the nose in the center with a little dab of glue. And now I'm going to glue a little bit of the hair on the side so that you can't see the hole from the bead. But I mean, you can use, you'll see in one of the next ones that come up, I have something else that I used, one of those styrofoam balls I used for the nose. And there is our little pine cone. Isn't he cute? Look at him, he's so cute. I like doing the pine cone one. I think it's so cool. So then, of course, I'm going to decorate his hat again. So I'm going to take little bits and pieces that I have laying around from stuff that I've already made. And these are just some leaves that I had from a pick. And then also some of these berries that I'm going to glue on as well. And then I was going to use that big sunflower that you can eat. They used to have these sunflowers at Dollar Tree. I don't know if they still carry them or not, but I haven't seen them. But they had the big ones and the small ones, but I'm going to end up using the small ones instead. I didn't like the big one. It was too big. Actually, I think I got these at Hobby Lobby. I didn't get them at the dollar store. Sorry about that. And then I'm just going to put a little dab of glue and stick on our little sunflower. And now I'm using this little wood round slice. And you could get these. They have them all the time at Hobby Lobby. And I put a big glob of glue. And I'm going to hold him down on there until he's done. Just so that he could stand up. Because the pine cone, he kind of tips over. And there he is. Tell me what you guys think. Let me know which one's your favorite in the description box down below. I mean, in the comments down below. Now, DIY number 3. Okay, so here's another gnome. This is from the Dollar Tree, that gnome right there. And we're also going to use some scrapbook paper. And we're going to be using the fur again. This time I'm tracing the fur with a black thin marker. And I'm just kind of like, you know, you just got to kind of like just try to figure it out, I guess. I don't have measurements or anything, you guys. I'm terrible at measurements. But I just like put it down and then I just try to figure out how big of a piece I need. And then I cut it. That's all I do. So then what I did is I painted his little pants on the bottom there and shoes. I did them with the Truffle by Waverly. It's a chalk paint. And I did the front and the back. And then his beard, even though we're putting the fur on, I also did white because I didn't want you to be able to see anything underneath. I wanted it to all be, white and, just in case. And now we're going to take this scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby and I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of like make a crease where the hat is. And I'm just going to turn it over and it's all nice and made for me. And all I got to do is cut it out. And now I'm taking some Mod Podge and I am going to put that on with my little sponge. And we're going to put the hat on. And I did do everything on the front and the back because I do craft shows and when I sell everything, I make sure that all my projects are complete. And then I'm going to put on his little beard. And then I'm sorry, but I lost some of the footage. I used one of the styrofoam balls. They're the fall ones. And I also used a little strip of ribbon from the Dollar Tree as well to make a little rim on the bottom of his hat. And now I'm just gluing down some little bits and pieces, a pine cone and some berries. And this gnome is all done. And there he is. See how I used the little foam ball? Now DIY number 4. This one's super fun too and so easy. So you use the ghost from the Dollar Tree and a witch's hat. And that's going to make your gnome, see? And we're going to use some more scrapbook paper, a little bead again, and some of this fur. So this one I'm also going to trace out because it's a ghost. It's not really a gnome. So I wanted to make sure that I got the perfect piece that I needed. So you could do this too. And then I'm going to cut it again with my little razor. And then I'm going to paint the ghost white, only because the bottom part especially, because I just want to make sure so you don't see anything through. I'm tracing my hat now on the scrapbook paper that I'm using. And I'm going to use some Mod Podge and I'm going to smooth that out. And then we're just going to stick that down onto our hat. And then we're going to put everything together. So I'm going to glue down his fur first, like so. Then I'm going to take his bead and I'm going to glue that in the center there where I want it. And I also covered the little holes on the sides with the fur. And then I'm going to do some gluing and we're going to put down our little hat on our gnome. And I also took a piece of the ribbon that we used on the other gnome and we're going to put that across the brim of his hat there too. And I love that color, that rustic orange color. It's so pretty for fall. It's one of my favorites. And then I'm just going to glue it to the back. Now this one I can't make it look complete in the back because of the way it looks, but I could cover that if I wanted to. But I didn't because this one I'm keeping. Then I decided to come in with some twine and I'm just going to wrap it. I glued it in the back and I'm just going to keep wrapping it and then glue it in the back again and then cut the excess off. And that's all I did for this little gnome. I think he looks so cute. Let me know what you guys think. Now DIY number 5, this is the last one. This is the big one. So we're using a witch's hat from the Dollar Tree, some burlap. We're going to use some of these nylon and we're going to use some of these flowers. That little golf ball that you saw is in the kids section at the Dollar Tree and some of these awesome looking leaves from the Dollar Tree. They came out with some really nice leaves this year and some ties. Some zip ties. So first thing I'm going to do is take off that yucky tinsel on there and we're going to put a hanger on here. So that's the first thing I did is I put a hanger on it and I'm going to cut off the bottom part of the witch's hat. So I'm just using my wire cutters and I'm just cutting that part off because we're not going to need it. Then once I get that off, I am going to cut all those little knobs that are on the ends. I'm going to cut those off too because I don't want them to go through the burlap, because they will. And so I decided to go in with these little burlap bags that I have. I got these a while back, but they sell them at Hobby Lobby. They're at all the craft stores. You can also use their burlap, you know, the longer one that you just wrap. You can use that, whatever burlap you have. And what I'm doing is I am just gluing it down and bringing it around. I want the front to look nice. I try to make my backs look as good as possible, as good as I can, because I sell a lot of my stuff. So I try to make it look very nice and very high end and very finished. I want to make sure everything is a finished product so my customers are happy. And I just go along the edges with the glue gun, and I'm just gluing everything down, and I'm pulling it really tight as I'm doing it. And I'm making sure that I keep the hanger out so that, you know, it's still there for them to hang up. And now I'm just going along the edges. I don't want to have anything just sticking up. And I'm just going to keep going. And then I'm going to cut the excess off, and I'm going to grab the rest of the material, and we're going to wrap it around again, which you will see in a minute. But first I'm going to cut this excess off. Now it's really, really easy to I use these burlap bags because they were a lot thicker than the regular burlap that you buy in the roll. So that's why I use these. And I had them, so I was like, I'm going to use them. But actually wrapping it would probably be easier if you did buy those. So and once I get that all done on the top, then we're going to take the other part that I cut off, and we're going to wrap that around the next section. Now, this is where you should have attached. Don't do what I do, because I did a boo-boo here. I didn't attach my leaves to the hat first. And that's what I was supposed to do. But you'll see in a minute, I end up having an opening, and I'm able to do it anyways. So just make sure that you don't do what I did and that you do your leaves first. You zip tie them on, which you'll see in a minute what I do. But I just wanted to tell you guys that I made a big boo-boo there. I make boo-boos too when I'm doing my crafts, believe me. Sometimes I'm not thinking, or I hear my kids in the background and I'm like running around. Who did what? No, stop fighting. Okay, I'll be there in a minute. It's crazy in my house with 5 little ones. It's crazy. So whenever I craft, it takes me a bit. So now I'm showing you, I'm going to make like a little brim on the bottom because we're going to stick some florals in there. So I'm just kind of like gluing a little brim on the end there of the hat. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to glue it. So now you'll see me come in, and that's where I'm going to attach my leaves. Because see how I have that little opening there? See? That's where I'm going to do it. So all I did was put the center one in the middle, and now I'm going to zip tie it on that bar there. That plastic piece bar. And I'm going to make sure it's centered. And then when the leaves came off, I had to glue it on. And then I'm just going to zip tie it, make sure it looks good in the front. And then I'm going to cut off the excess. And now I'm going to do the next one. And now I'm going to zip tie that one on the next bar that you see on the side and clip that one. And now I'm going to do the other one on the other side. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to make it look like the gnome's beard. And then another one's going to go in the middle again, but down lower so that it would have that point. And then our beard is all done. And then I just kind of mess around with everything. And now I'm going to take the hat and I'm going to put my little brim. So what I did is I folded it in half, and now I'm using my roll to make the little brim of the hat. So I went with the roll instead because I had to cover a lot. So now I'm taking the nylon and I am going to put that ball. This is just one of those plastic balls that you get at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to wrap it around, and I'm going to take a tiny little rubber band that you also get at the Dollar Tree in the hair section, and I'm just going to wrap it around so it stays on tight. And then I'm going to cut off the excess nylon, and that's the nose for our gnome. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I love making those ones. So easy. And now I'm just going to glue everything, the seam on the top, and then I'm going to glue down my nose in the center where the leaves are, just making sure everything is nice and even and looks good. And now I'm going to glue down the sides. I like to pinch my fabric to the nose because I think that gives it just looks so much better that way. And I just squeeze it and hold it there until the glue sets. Now I'm going to finish the brim part of my hat. So I'm just making sure it's all nice and glued at the seam, and then I'm going to turn around and glue everything nice and tight in the back. Now we're going to take those little pieces that I had of florals and things from greenery and stuff from the Dollar Tree, and I am just going to glue those down on inside the little brim of the hat. And I'm just putting a little bit of glue, hot glue in it where I stuck them down so that they stay in place. And then I'm going to glue down those little berries that I took from a pick as well. And then that sunflower that you see there is also from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut the little knob off in the back of it, and I'm going to glue that to the top. But first, I thought it would be fun to use some raffia and tie that together in a knot. I just took a bunch of it, and now I'm just going to give it a little haircut, make sure everything's even on both sides, and then I'm going to put that behind my sunflower just to give the hat a little more something. And I like the way it turns out. And then I put a little bit of glue, and I'm going to glue down that first, and now I'm going to glue down my sunflower. And then this guy is all done. Look at him. Isn't he cute? I love this one. This one was my favorite one. But you guys let me know which one was your favorite. And here is the close-up of him hanging on my door. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out all the talented ladies. The playlist will be down below. And thank you again for subscribing. And y'all stay crafty. Bye.